I'm Jeff Nimnick.
And I'm Rick Paulette.
And we're the hosts of The Last Stand. Coyote hunting is my passion.
And coyote calls are my livelihood.
And together we aim to bring you the best predator hunting tips, tricks, and tactics, right down to The Last Stand.
The Last Stand, presented by Lucky Duck Predator Calls. We are the masters of deception. Daniel Defense, manufacturing freedom. Swagger Bipods, shoot with confidence, shoot with swagger. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable.
We got enough guys.
Yeah. If they just went to that higher clump of stuff right there, then they cut whatever's coming from that way off. Or if anything circles from the bottom.
Is it open? Like, this is just the thick sheet, and then it just kind of
looks like that out in there.
Gotcha. Yeah, Rick, I think we'll put a guy down over here. Just to cover this back front.
Yeah, the wind's that way. It was blowing our face a second ago. Was it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's stick the sheet, so it's gonna matter. Yeah, we could.
What do you want then?
Let's go look and see what it is. We might send a guy down here. Right here. You got a little guys gonna lay here. Okay.
Where do you want to sit at, buddy?
Coming from the left. Coming from the left. Off that side hill, Sean. You got him, Sean. He's coming. He's down in this bottom about 150. Right out in front of the call. Right out in front of the call.
I decided to try to thread the needle above the sagebrush and shoot the coyote in the forehead, but I must have gave him a mohawk, and he ran off into the sage. And it was only a couple minutes into the stand, so we decided, we're going to keep calling. And it wasn't maybe 4 minutes later, and I kind of hear a thump behind me, and I look around my shoulder, and there's two coyotes standing there about 40 yards behind me. And of course, as a left-handed shooter, it's impossible for me to get turned, so I just kind of had to sit there at the mercy of those coyotes and figure out which way they were going to go.
The other one right here.
You know, when the stand's all said and done, we ended up getting a couple running shots at some coyotes, the 2 coyotes that came in behind us and looped around and ended up winning us and running off. I missed the coyote down there in the sage. And at that point, you know, it kind of leaves an unsettling feeling in your stomach that, you know, you had 4, 5, 6 coyotes possibly in that area, and we didn't even walk out of there with one. And it really did set the tone for the day, it seemed like. Great, glad we didn't have one coming in. I have my shotgun loaded. Put that on the blooper reel. That's what happens when you've been busting it all day long. You haven't really called in anything since the very first stand of the day. Everybody starts getting a little complacent. You just try to grind it out, but it's about the time after 8 or 10 blank ones, one will come running right in your lap and everybody will be asleep. You know, the second day we woke up to a winter weather advisory. They were calling for much colder temperatures. You know, for the middle of October, a high of 28 and snow is not real conducive to what we were trying to do, and it's a little unusual for the weather this time of year. So at this point in the trip, we had probably went about 12 or 14 stands without calling in a coyote. So we got down into this stand. Cameraman and I are off to the left. Rick and Colten and Jim are off to the right, set up a little bit higher so they have a little bit better vantage point. And that call's not going more than probably 2 minutes. And we hear some noise back from behind us. Those guys kind of getting situated.
Let him roll up here.
Woo! Woo, 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 woo. Another one coming out there. Okay. Wind's good. I'm gonna let him come right up. Pretty sure that was the second coyote. But before I was interrupted by that coyote coming in, we've made, I don't know, 15, 18 stands in a row without calling in a coyote. And just like that, within 2 minutes, this coyote was right on the call. He come out of that sagebrush. It was really hard to see with this snow. But I shot him chest on, running right up at the call. There was a second coyote that was out there about 300 yards that was coming. As soon as I shot, he kind of peeled off to the left. And I think this might have been the same coyote, but I think either Colten or Rick was up behind me and they shot this coyote right out in front of me here. So after the double, we're obviously amped up. Our plan kind of paid off. We jump in the truck, we head down, we have the next stand in mind already. We pull down into there, real rough, kind of choppy stand, lots of sage. We had actually killed a coyote there the year before when we were hunting with Colten as well. we get down in there, and on this stand, Colten decides he's going to get in right with the call with the shotgun. We really wanted to try to get a coyote right up to the call, and it was a great thing he did, because what unfolded ended up being he was the only one that actually could have pulled the trigger. Badger. See him on the left of the hill? Halfway up the hill, stand there. There you go. Got this badger coming to the call. We're gonna see how close we can get him to Colten before he shoots him. Kill him. Kill him. I don't know if he's going to shoot him or not. Colten's the only one with a license to shoot this thing.
Cool.
About a 10-yard badger. Well, it wasn't a coyote, but that was probably almost more exciting, seeing how close we could get that sucker to Colten down there in the sage before he freaked out and shot it. You know, one of the cool things about calling coyotes is you never know what else you might call in. You know, it could be a bobcat, could be a fox, could even be a badger. You know, in this particular case, that's what came in, and it was fun. It was exciting watching this badger snake his way through the sagebrush. We knew Colten was sitting right down by the call. We're kind of looking at each other, kind of giggling, wondering how close we're going to be able to get this badger to Colten before he finally shoots it with the shotgun. So continuing with our plan, you know, we're racing the sun at this point. You know we only have time for just a couple stands left. Colten knows exactly where we're going to go next. We slip in. It was a little bit longer walk getting down into this stand, but it was, we had a good idea that it was probably going to be worth it. We had some good cover to sit amongst. At this point, the wind's dying down, considerably, and just started the stand off with some prey distress. I think with some lucky pecker. Coming around the big rock in front of you. Get ready, he's gonna come right around the right side of that rock probably. There he is down the bottom, right of the rock. Gillum, you on him? Whoop, whoop. Gotta catch my breath here. Could have saved myself about 150 yards walking if we wouldn't have got greedy. If that had been a normal coyote hunt situation, that coyote stopped down below us 100 yards. 3 or 4 different times we could have killed him, but there about the end before he spooked, he turned and started coming up the trail. We thought, you know, we're tucked in really good up behind these rocks and sagebrush, that we might get him to come all the way up and Colten could get him with a shotgun, but there at the last minute when it's dead calm like this, their senses are a little heightened. I think he just spooked out. You know, when he took off running, you kind of have to make a split-second decision. Do you start shooting at them when they're trotting off, or do you try to wait to see if they'll stop? And it's hard to really tell sometimes. You know, as long as they don't wind you, sometimes, you know, most of the time, I guess, they'll stop and give you a look, and that's what he did. He ran out there about 200 where he felt safe. I had switched up the sound, and he stopped, looked back one more time, and the old 53 grain VMAX popped him, and there he laid.